This video will cover how to use the Toast Tables app, which allows you to seat walk-ins, add guests to a waitlist during busy hours, book reservations for guests, and communicate with them via two-way SMS messaging. Let's take a look at the app. On the right side of the app's homepage, you'll see a diagram of the tables in each service area as you'd see on the table management screen in Toast. We bring in this table layout directly from the POS. You can swipe left and right to change service areas, or you can select the name of each service area to view them. You can also zoom in and out of each service area by using two fingers to pinch zoom. Each table will display as different colors depending on their status. If a table is available, it will be light gray. If a table is dirty, it will be yellow. If a table is blocked, like a damaged table or one that will be used by a large party with a reservation, it will be gray. To change the status, simply tap the table and select Change Table Status. Seating a party at a table will update it to a dark blue color. A progress bar will then appear around the table and will begin a timer based on the turn time associated with that party size. The color of this progress bar will correspond to the server assigned to that table. Toast Tables is also synced with the POS, so you'll be able to see if guests at each table have placed any orders or paid for their meals. If an order has been sent to the kitchen, the table will change to black. When the guests have paid for their meal, the table will update to green. You can select a table to see more details about the order, such as the order total and prices of individual items that have been sent to the kitchen. The table management screen on your POS will also update when you seat a table on Toast Tables. If your restaurant is using the Start an Order on the POS feature, once a party is seated, a check will automatically start on the POS, which can later be added to. For tables that have already been seated, if you'd like to make the table available again or mark it as dirty, you can select the table to change its status. If you'd like to assign tables to servers at the start of a shift, you can add servers to the roster in the Servers tab of Toast Tables. Please note that this is an optional step, and that you can also just add servers to the roster and assign them to tables as you seat guests. On this screen, select Add Servers to Roster to begin adding them. If you select the plus icon next to the server's name, they'll be added to the roster. Then select Save. Now you can assign tables to each server in the roster. To do so, select the server's name on the left, and then begin selecting the tables you'd like to assign them to. You can easily tell who each table is assigned to by either checking the initials or the color displayed on each table. Each server has a designated color that is automatically assigned to them, but you can change this at any time. These colors will also appear on the Home tab. This roster will rotate throughout the shift based on the server's last time sat. If a host seats a table for a server, they'll move to the bottom of this list. The roster will also display at the top of the app's homepage and will show servers next up on the roster furthest to the left. Toast Tables also helps track table status for walk-ins and displays POS status updates for parties seated through the app. If a walk-in party would like to be seated and you have a table available, you can seat them immediately by selecting the table you'd like to seat them at and tapping Seat Walk-in. You'll then be able to input the party size to track cover counts and turn times accurately. If you'd like, you can add a guest name or phone number and email. However, this is optional. You can also add notes that are only visible to other staff at your restaurant. For example, if the guest is a regular, you can add that here. If there are any special requests, such as if the party needs a high chair, you can add those here. After you select Seat, a timer will begin on the table so you can track how long each party has been seated at their table. Toast tables will automatically set the timer based on the turn time settings that were configured by your restaurant for that party size. Selecting the table will show the exact amount of time these guests have been at their table. If there are any upcoming bookings on a table, the table will display the amount of parties that are booked in the future. Another way of seating a walk-in is to use the Select Tables button on the bottom right of the home screen. This option lets you seat a walk-in at multiple tables. You can also use Select Tables to mark multiple tables as dirty, blocked, or available. Your waitlist will be displayed on the left side of your screen and can be filtered by date, service area, status, and other filters in this drop-down menu. You can also search by guest name or phone number by selecting the search icon here. To add a new party to the waitlist, first select the amount of guests, and then tap the Add to Waitlist button. A window will appear where you can select the service area they'd like to be seated, the wait time you'd like to set for this party, and the same guest information as when seating a walk-in, such as a phone number so you can notify them when their table is ready. Once you select Add, the guest will receive a text letting them know they've been added to the waitlist. This text may look different depending on the template that was created by your restaurant. Each entry in your waitlist will show the guest's name, the amount of guests in the party, the service area they're waiting to be seated at, the amount of time they've been waiting, the quoted wait time, and the status of the party. While your party is waiting, you can pre-assign a table to them that is currently in use. To do this, select the party and then the Assign Table button. Here, you can tap the table you'd like to pre-assign to them. When you're ready to seat a party, you can change the status by tapping it and selecting a status from this drop-down menu. Send a Notification will send a message to the guest letting them know they're at the front of the waitlist and to make their way to the restaurant. A timer will display next to their name so you can track how long it's been since you've let them know they're ready to be seated. This way, if they don't show up after a certain amount of time, depending on your restaurant's policy, you can mark them as a no-show. Selecting Arrived is useful if the party arrives back at your restaurant before the table is ready and helps keep track of parties that are no-shows and parties that have arrived. Once they're ready to be seated, you can click and hold the party on the left pane to drag and drop them to the table you'd like to seat them at. You can also use this drag and drop feature to easily move parties from one table to another. Another way of seating a party is by selecting the party and then using the blue Seat Party button to open this table selection screen. This screen will show you each server at the top and the tables they're assigned to. After selecting the table you'd like to seat the party at, you can select Seat Party on the bottom right to seat them at the table with the original server assigned to that table. If you'd like to change the server, select Swap Server and Seat, and then select a new server. Swapping will only take effect for this party, and the table will revert to the original assigned server when the table gets up from their meal. If you're seating a large party that can't fit at a single table and need to combine two tables, you can select both tables on this screen to seat them at both. You can see previous parties that were added to the waitlist by selecting the History tab. Here, you can change the status of a party if you'd like to add them back to the waitlist. You can also see the history of a specific booking by selecting the party name and then this history icon. This will show you any changes made, as well as when and how the change was made. Guests can also add themselves to the waitlist online through your restaurant's online waitlist link. On this page, They can see how many parties are ahead of them on the waitlist and their estimated seating time. After entering their party's information, they'll be sent a text letting them know they've been added to the waitlist. On the app, you'll then see the guest's information on the waitlist with a tag showing that they were added through the online waitlist. If a customer calls in or asks to book a future reservation, start by selecting the blue Add New Reservation button on the left pane of the app. A window will pop up, prompting you to input some information about the reservation. Here, you can select the date, the party size, and the preferred time of day for the reservation. Then, you can select the exact reservation time based on your restaurant's availability. Each time option will also display the amount of tables that are available during that time. You can then select a service area if the guest has a preference where they'd like to sit. If you don't select a service area, all available tables will display below. If you'd like to see the layout of each service area while selecting tables, you can use the Advanced Table Selection. This can also be used if you have a large party and want to select multiple tables for this reservation. Black tables will indicate unavailable tables, but you can still select these tables during a reservation if you'd like to disregard its availability, such as large orders that involve reassigning tables. You can then add the guest information, including their phone number, name, and email. You can mark them as a VIP, add internal notes for your team to see, and special requests from the guest. You can also add an occasion to the reservation, such as an anniversary. When you select Create, the reservation will be added and can be found in the reservation pane on the left side of the app. If you don't see it, you may need to select the correct date if the reservation was created for a future date. The guest will also now receive a text letting them know that their reservation has been made and where to view details. Guests can also make reservations online through a link that you can put on your restaurant's website. This branded page will allow guests to select the date for their reservation, their party size, and their reservation time. When they select Find a Table, multiple time options will appear under each service area. Once a time is selected, the guest can add in their information and any special requests they may have. Once they select Book Table, they'll see this confirmation page where they can view your restaurant's menu or cancel their reservation. They'll also receive a text letting them know their reservation has been made and where to find more details. In the Timeline tab on the bottom of the app, you can see a list of tables in each service area and any reservations that exist. Each reservation will display the guest's name, the party size, the start and end time of the reservation, and its status. If you select the reservation, you can see more information and make changes to its status and time. If you select Edit, you can make further adjustments, including the party size, table assignment, and guest information. You can also click and hold reservations in Timeline View if you'd like to change their time or service area. At any point after a reservation is made, you and your guests can contact each other directly through SMS texting to communicate any important information or changes to a reservation. For example, if you'd like to ask a guest if a high-top table is okay for their reservation, you can send them a text by selecting their name on the list and then the Message button. Once the guest responds to your message, an icon will appear next to their name showing that they've sent another message.